to Students Incorporated, a podcast where we dive into relevant topics and issues related to the world of business, technology, education, and design. I'm your host, Mr. Jason. Episodes include student conversations, interviews with thought leaders, and inspirational stories with an international flavor. This podcast is created and produced with the help of students from the International Community School of Bangkok. In today's episode, we'll be giving our listeners some advice about what to never say or do on a first date. I'll also be sharing a dating story, wife approved, and we will find our co-host, Lion, a date. All of this in a single episode. Linda and Darren will be our official co-host, and Lion will actually be our guest sitting on the other side of the table. But before we dive into our Valentine's comedy special, let's hear the quote of the day and get some headline news.
And today our quote comes from our very own Winnie the Pooh. If you live to be 100, I want to live to be 100 minus one day, so I never have to live without you. Winnie the Pooh is the main character of a show that first came out in the 1920s. The stories were created by A.A. Milne. His name was inspired by a swan named Pooh, whom A.A. Milne saw on a holiday. He has since been the favorite character of many children's stories and a fun memory to all. Now over to the news.
A 7.8 magnitude earthquake just recently struck eastern Turkey and Syria. It severely damaged the castle, a historical site and tourist attraction. The railings surrounding the castle and walls were destroyed. The castle was built during the Roman period in the 2nd and 3rd centuries as a watchover. It has recently served as a defense for the countries and a heroism museum. For earthquakes to technology, recently AI has been making a lot of people nervous, but also excited. Originally, people thought this was a type of technology that would take over blue-collar jobs such as cleaning, construction, manufacturing, transportation, and so on. Instead though, it seems like more advanced AI could now take over some white-collar jobs, such as programming, administrative jobs, writing, editing, and even journalism. Now, onto science and space. Scientists have discovered 12 new moons that orbit Jupiter. This brings the total number of moons Jupiter has to 92. Astronomer Scott Shepard used the Survey telescope in Hawaii and the Dark Energy camera on the Blanco telescope in Chile to find them.
That is a great quote from Winnie the Pooh, and thank you for some very interesting news headlines. I've got to say that our editorial team does a fantastic job with bringing us some very interesting and not always known quotes and news for each episode. All right, let's begin with part 1.
Mr. Jason, can you share a dating story with us to start off this segment?
Sure, I actually have 2 stories. The first one is a little bit longer than the second one. But the first one's about the first official date that I went on with my wife. Well, before she was my wife. She got to college 2 years after I was there, and I was in my 3rd year and she was in her 1st year. We had gone out as a group of friends first, and we had gone out miniature golfing. And we just had a great time together as a group of friends. Eventually, a couple weeks later, I thought, maybe I should ask her out on an official date. And so I went ahead and did that. But because of being a college student, not having a lot of money, being in a small town, there's not a lot to do. There wasn't a lot of good fancy restaurants. And the fancy restaurants that were in town were quite expensive. I also had a really good friend of mine. His name was Dave, and he played on the college soccer team. And so I thought, I really want to go watch Dave play soccer. I looked at the schedule. Our college had a soccer game scheduled with another rival college, and it was at nighttime, and it was an away game, so it was at the other college's field, and it was under lights. I don't know if you were able to attend one of the ICS soccer games under the lights, but it's kind of a neat vibe. There's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. And so I thought this would be like the perfect place to take my first date. I didn't have any money, and I thought, this would be a great college experience too. So I went and picked her up. At that time, I had a pickup truck, and it was like a S10, a Chevy S10. I don't know if you know what those look like, but they're a smaller pickup truck. And in these old pickup trucks, they had kind of like a bench seat in the front and no headrest. The seat belts were mainly just lap seat belts. So I picked her up in this little S10 pickup truck, and right when I picked her up, she got in the truck, and instead of sitting over by the window far away from me, she sat right next to me. I thought, oh, this is a good sign. And so we drove to the game and had a great conversation in the car and drove to the game. And because it was fall time, the nights were getting cooler. And so the game's outside, the lights are on, there's a lot of college students there. And I thought, this is a great first date. So we go sit on the stands and we have a blanket and we share this blanket. We're sitting next to each other. It's cold out. And I just thought, this is cool. She's sitting close to me. So we enjoy the game. We watch my friend Dave play, really good player. And we kept commenting, or she kept commenting on, man, Dave is really fast. Look how fast he is out there. We were talking about Dave a lot the whole time. As we're leaving after the game, I can't remember if we won or not, but as we're leaving after the game, I remember walking through the parking lot with her, and we had this blanket, and I had one end of it and she had the other end. And for some reason, we started pulling it back and forth, like tug of war. And I don't know why we were doing that, but we started laughing and she would not let go of it. So I pulled a little harder and then I wouldn't let go. So she pulled a little harder and we're walking to the parking lot playing tug of war with this blanket. I just thought, why is she not letting it go? I pulled it, she wouldn't let go. So I thought, as soon as she pulls it next time, I'm gonna let go of it. And so she pulled really hard. I let go of my end and she flew backwards, fell down right on the concrete. And I thought, this was horrible. What did I just do? I just hurt my first date. Thankfully, she kind of laughed it off, and she's got a great personality where if something happens like this, she laughs at things. And so the humor, thankfully, we got past it with her humor, but I feel like that was kind of like we had the perfect first date, and then all of a sudden I kind of screwed it up by basically letting her fall down. That's a funny first date, and we do have a list coming up of like things not to do on a first date for guys and girls.
We do.
Make sure you listen to that. So another thing not to do on the first date with guys and girls, please don't play tug of war with each other. No. It's just not cool. The second story, really short, is we had gone on a couple dates already. At that time, I had a pickup truck, but also I had brought my motorcycle back from my hometown. So I had this really cool motorcycle. It was a Honda Nighthawk, and it was a 650cc hybrid sports bike, street bike. It was midnight blue. It was really cool. I had this USA flag sticker on the back of it. We were going on another date and thought, man, I'm going to go pick her up on my motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
Because she hasn't been on it yet. I drive my motorcycle up to the girls' dorm and I pull up to the front entranceway where she's standing, and she's standing there with a skirt on. And so I pull up on the motorcycle and I get right up there and I don't even really think about it. And I look up at her and she has this face of like, I can't believe you brought a motorcycle to our date. And then it finally dawned on me, there's no way she can ride a motorcycle with a skirt or a dress on. For guys, always figure out where you're going, what you're gonna wear, and especially for guys, figure out the transportation. That's a super important thing for dates. There's my two stories.
Are the rumors true of your friend Dave changing his name to Lionel Messi?
They are not, but I do have another story about Dave if I can share it really quick. We enjoyed watching Dave play soccer so much, and he was so fast that after my wife and I got married, we bought a fish in this really small aquarium. So we had a couple fish in this aquarium, and there was one fish in particular that had stripes on him, and he was a little bit wider, but he would swim around the aquarium so fast, like none of the fish could keep up with him. So we named him Speedy Dave, basically after our friend in college. So his legacy lives on. Now that you've heard a few dating stories, we are going to shift gears and offer some advice. Not necessarily because we have the best advice on this subject, but it's more about the fact that we know how to search the internet quite well. So with that said, we have curated 2 top 10 lists, one for men and one for women. These lists are titled Things Not to Say on a Date, especially if you really want to go on a second date with that same person. Linda will read the list about what men should not say on a first date, and Darren will read the list about what women should not say on a first date. Linda will start us off.
Okay guys, here are the things you should not say to a lady on the first day. Number 10, I forgot my wallet. Do you mind paying this time?
Always check the bags and the pockets. Okay, ladies, here are things you should never say on a first date. Number 10, I'm only here for a free meal.
Next, number 9, my mom has that same haircut.
Unless it's a pretty cool one, maybe you should stay away from this comment. And next one for the ladies, number 9. I just got out of a serious relationship. Kind of goes along with the age-old saying, if you want your girl to text, don't talk about your ex.
Listen up, guys. Number 8 is I just got out of jail.
We definitely don't want any criminal records on that dating resume. The next one for the ladies is number 8. I don't see a future with you.
Number 7, I'm not looking for anything serious.
Again, you wouldn't apply for the job and say, I don't want to work here. Number 7 for the ladies is I still keep in touch with my previous boyfriends.
Okay, guys, don't say this. Number 6, I've already decided whether I wanted to see you again.
This leaves a lot of mystery and not any good kind. The next one for the ladies is my number 6. I'm only here because my friends dared me to go.
And number 5 for guys, I usually don't date someone your age.
Yeah, stay away from that one. And number 5 for the ladies is you're not my type.
Back to what guys should not say. Number 4, I was bored at home, so I decided to give you a call.
Okay, ladies, this one's for you. Number 4, it looks like I could beat you in arm wrestling.
Number 3 for guys, do you mind splitting the bill?
Number 3 for the ladies, I have a lot of debt.
And number 2 for guys, wow, are you actually going to eat all of that?
Please, 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 please don't say that, please. Number 2 for the ladies is I can't believe you chose this place. Maybe McDonald's is his favorite restaurant.
And finally for the guys, the number 1 thing not to say to a lady on a first date is you look much better in your profile picture.
And finally for the ladies, number 1 thing not to say on a first date is my dad drove me here and he is waiting outside. But in the severe case that this does happen and the date's not going well, you could always say call him in here to join us.
And with that, we'll be right back after a short PSA about the Valentine's Day holiday.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Many people think that Valentine's Day was created by card and candy companies wanting to capitalize on the holiday by making more money. That is actually not the case. Legend states, and according to the History Channel, Valentine was a priest who served during the 3rd century in Rome. When Emperor Claudius II decided that single men made better soldiers than those with wives and families, he outlawed marriage for young men. Valentine defied Claudius and continued to perform marriages in secret. When Valentine's actions were discovered, Claudius ordered that he be put to death. However, others insist that it was Saint Valentine of Temi, who was the true namesake of the holiday. He too was put to death by Claudius II outside Rome. Valentine became Saint Valentine in the Catholic Church tradition, and his contribution to promoting marriage and love helped create what is now known as the Valentine's Day, celebrated by many people.
We are back with part 2, a fun game titled Will Lion Find a Mate? It's basically a modified and clean version of The Bachelor. Lion is in the studio and has agreed to play this game, right, Lion?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Linda, can you tell us how the game works?
We reached out to 3 girls and gave them a set of questions to answer anonymously. Lion does not know any of their identities. We will read the questions and the answers provided. Lion then has to choose from the answers which one he feels more compatible with or which matches his answer the most. At the end, the girls whose answers match the closest with Lion's answers will be given a simple coffee gift card to share on a non-date date. Also, her name will be revealed but only if she is the match. Are you ready to hear the questions and answers, Lion?
Yes, I am ready.
All right, so who's ready to play Will Lion Find a Mate? The first question Bree asked the girls was, if you and Lion were to have a movie night, what movie would you watch?
All right, let's see the answers.
Lady number 1 says, watch Shrek 5 in theaters. Lady number 2 said, I would like to watch Top Gun Maverick because it's such an amazing all-American movie.
Oh, yeah.
And Lion would love it because he loves America. She also went on to say she also loves Miles Teller. Now, sorry, I don't know how you feel about her mentioning another boy there, but moving on, girl number 3 said, we would watch a marathon of the best cinematic masterpieces that have ever been written and produced. Which are, of course, the first 2 Shrek movies, and then maybe sprinkle in a pirated copy of Shrek the Musical.
Oh,
Lion, out of these 3 ladies, which one did you like the most?
gotta be number 3, because, we get a pirated version of Shrek the Musical. Like a girl with a daring personality.
All right. Vote number 1 goes to girl number 3.
The next question for our contestants was, what is your idea of a perfect date with Lion? What activities would you do or what food would you eat? The first girl answered, I would go watch the Shrek movie, then go eat soft serve ice cream with fries at McDonald's. The second girl answered, we would go to a Muay Thai boxing match. I was really impressed by Lion's skills in the boxing match he was in, so I'm sure we will both enjoy this as a date. We would have bubble tea, and after that we could walk around the city and vibe. The third girl answered, I think the ideal perfect date would be going to a bookstore and record store and picking stuff out for each other, then maybe hitting the arcade. I'm not made of money and I don't really expect guys to pay for everything on dates, so we could eat somewhere like Hachiban Ramen. What do you think, Lion? Which answer are you most compatible with?
It's a tie between 2 and 3.
You have to
but
pick.
Let me think about this. I think number 2 has a plan, like a really detailed plan. But number 3 also like considers like, I don't want to pay for everything either. So, but I think number 2 takes the cake on this one.
True. Number 2 was extremely impressed by your Muay Thai boxing skills. And, as we all know, Lion is an expertise in that. Moving on to the third question. We asked the ladies how would they describe themselves? What interesting qualities do they have? And what are they most proud of? Girl number 1 answered, I would describe myself as talkative, friendly, and someone who cares and loves world history.
Oh, okay.
Girl number 2 answered, I would describe myself as creative. I love to create, especially art. One quality I'm most proud of is how much I care about my people, like my friends and family.
Aw.
And finally, last but not least, girl number 3 said, I would say I'm confident, but not really arrogant. I like to keep things light and funny. I'm proud to be considered a creative individual. All right, Lion, which one do you like the most?
Again, it's a tie between number 1 and 3. But I like the confidence of number 3, so I gotta go with number 3 there.
You like the confidence.
Our next question was, what qualities are you looking for in your future significant other? The first answered, someone who's talkative, funny, and kind. The second answered, I'm looking for someone who compliments me well, is nice, aesthetic, funny, and loyal. The third girl answered, someone who isn't afraid to be himself and preferably isn't into the whole manosphere thing. Also, I like a funny guy who still knows when to be serious and talk about real topics and things going on with themselves and the world. Self-awareness is a big thing for me. What do you think, Lion? Which answer are you most compatible with?
3. No contest.
Ooh, okay, Lion. We are heading into the final question.
Ooh.
This one's a bit more heavy. If you had to tell Lion some bad news, how would you go about doing it? Girl number 1 answered, I would tell him even worse news first, and then tell him, just kidding, and proceed to say the real news. Girl number 2 said, I would write him a nice card, or we would meet and talk in person, maybe over lunch, and then I'd tell him. And girl number 3 said, I guess it depends on the news, but I'd probably sit down with him, with his favorite drinks and his favorite snacks, and break whatever news it is to him, gently, but allow him to process. I'm not great with super sad or serious topics, so I might crack a joke or two, just to keep it light and cheery.
I like the considerations of number 3 the most. She brings, the drinks, the snacks, even brings some humor too. So yeah, I like number 3.
Lion, hopefully you took some notes from these answers. Which girl do you think you're most compatible with? Feel free to take some time, and if you need us to repeat anything, we'd be happy to do so.
So after thorough deliberation and note-taking, I have come to the conclusion that number 3 would be the best option for me.
Okay, Lion feels he would be most compatible with girl number 3. We will now reveal her identity, first name only though. And just to be clear, we have gotten permission from our contestants, if their answers were selected, that they were okay with us revealing their first name. Okay, with that said, drum roll please. Girl number 3 names is Taylor C. Congratulations, you both can enjoy a non-date date with this gift card.
Guys, I just want to say that I'm very thankful for letting me be on this show, and thank you so much for finding me a mate.
We are running out of time, but we would like to thank our contestants for participating in our matchup game with Lion, and we'd also like to thank our very own Lion for going along and being a great sport, so thank you. Also, thank you to our co-host for keeping us entertained, and we hope you all enjoyed it. As we end this episode, we'd like to thank our listeners for your continued support and encouragement. Make sure to listen as we release new episodes weekly. You can find us on Instagram at Students Incorporated. And as always, this podcast would not be possible without the hard work and support of our international student production team.
All music and sound effects are courtesy of Pixabay.com, a vibrant community of creatives sharing copyright-free images, videos, and music.
And we're signing off until next time. We are Students Incorporated because your voice matters.